back to the Sarge's Box Talk. Hey, I appreciate everyone that sent emails and comments from my last show about Oscar de la Hoya being so overrated and why Miguel Cotto is the pound for pound champion in boxing today over Floyd Mayweather. So if any of you didn't catch that, go check that show out. You're definitely going to enjoy it, and I'll make a believer of you after you see that video for sure. Some of the previous fights that came from last week, you know, there was Ivan Calderon, Steve Molitor, some of the lower weight class guys that were fighting. Really not a whole lot of fireworks there. Definitely great boxers. I won't knock them for not being fantastic boxers, because if you do like the skill of boxing, these guys are so much fun to watch. Very accurate, very busy, a lot of fun. But if you like the knockouts, these guys really aren't the type of boxers you want to watch. They're definitely not your style. So for any hardcore boxing fans, they were some pretty good fights over this last weekend, especially with those two. Now, Amir Khan is another lightweight. He fought this last week, had another knockout. Look, this guy I think is the next reincarnation of Prince Naseem. Now, I pray that he doesn't have the same ego and attitude that Prince Naseem had, but this guy is electric. He's got knockout power. He's fast. He is a former Olympian. A lot of fun. Hopefully he decides to come over to the United States for a few fights so he gets a little more exposure. But a lot of fun and a lot of great fights, I think, in his future from the UK, Amir Khan. So some of the upcoming fights we got this Saturday on Showtime. 4 of the top light heavyweights in the division are fighting. You've got Antonio Tarver taking on Clinton Woods. Look, Clinton Woods, I think, is underrated in this division. He did have a loss against Roy Jones Jr., but other than that, this guy has fought the top fighters in the weight division, and I think that he's got what it takes to be right up there with Chad Dawson. So I'm definitely looking forward to him taking on Tarver and beating Tarver in a unanimous decision. Look, Tarver's time has come and gone. It was short-lived. Great seeing you, but now it's time to go. So I'm looking for Woods to take care of him so we don't have to worry about Tarver anymore and he can kind of go off into the sunset. That dude is crazy. Don't want to hear from him anymore. Chad Dawson in the main event on Showtime. Chad Dawson is taking on Glenn Johnson, the Road Warrior. Glenn Johnson, this guy is so much fun to watch. He fights anybody, anywhere. Looking at his record, you wouldn't think he's as good as he is. But that's just because he's fought in so many people's backyards. But this fight, I think, will be very good. Glenn Johnson always brings it. He always has a high punch output. Chad Dawson, this guy, I think, is going to set himself apart in the light heavyweight division. But this is by far his biggest competition. But I think he'll still win. I think he'll still beat Johnson in a unanimous decision. Definitely not by knockout. But Chad Dawson to win that by decision. And hopefully, if things work out that way, we'll have Woods and Dawson taking each other on, maybe later on down the road, to solidify the best light heavyweight in the world. But right now, it looks like Chad Dawson is the future of the light heavyweight division. So you want to check him out on Saturday on Showtime. But HBO, once again, has the best fight card, and you have to catch this fight card. It is going to be electric. It's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be action-packed. On the undercard, you have Kermit Cintron taking on Antonio Margarito. I was surprised that this fight's even going on after Cintron suffered such a devastating knockout against Margarito. Margarito destroyed Cintron. Not only knocking him out, but mentally you could tell Cintron was just devastated from this fight. So to see him take this on says a lot for Cintron. But we'll see how it turns out. I really think Margarito is going to pull it off. I'd like to see Cintron win this, but I think Cintron's only hope is to catch Margarito in the early rounds, because as the fight progresses, Margarito gets more and more strong. Like you saw against Paul Williams, he got to a slow start but came on strong. If he doesn't catch him early, if Cintron doesn't catch Margarito early, Margarito's going to probably knock him out later on, and that's what I think is going to happen, because mentally, who knows where Cintron's at right now after that knockout loss that he had to Margarito, which is his only loss in his career. So maybe some mental issues there for Cintron, but it will be fireworks in that fight, guaranteed. Both guys can knock you out. Uh, the main event, like we talked about earlier, Miguel Cotto, the pound-for-pound champ. Now, you want to go check out that other show because he is the pound-for-pound champ in my eyes. But he's taking on a joke. I won't say Alfonso Gomez is a joke of a fighter, but coming off of a series, The Contender, which is a joke of a series, Miguel Cotto is going to take him on. And, you know, I'm definitely happy to see Gomez get his chance to be on a headlining fight on HBO. But he's going to get knocked out. Great kid. I like him. He is a fan favorite. People love him a lot. But I think Cotto's going to... I'm going to predict a knockout in the 5th round by a body shot, just like happened to Carlos Quintana. Cotto's due for another body shot knockout, so it's going to be a pretty good fight. It's not going to be too tough for Cotto, I don't think, but I'm looking for a 5th round knockout as Cotto gets ready to take on Mayorga in July. So definitely check that out. HBO has a great fight card set up, so you'll want to check that out for sure. So this week, my dishonorable discharge, it's got to go to the draw. How is it that boxing has a draw? All right. Now, they went from the late 80s when there was 15 rounds to 12. Now, how is it that you go from 15 to 12? I don't understand that, because with 12 rounds, you have a lot easier chance and a better chance of having a tie or a draw. So I don't understand why they didn't go to 13 or even 11 rounds so there is less chance of a draw. Look, every other major sport in America has gone to a sudden death playoff. Whether it's baseball, basketball, football, and now lately hockey has gone to a shootout. That's the way it should be. I don't want to see a draw. I would rather have the guy I'm rooting for either lose than draw. Win or lose. You walk out of that ring as a winner or a loser, not as a tie. So what I think they should do is have a sudden death. After 12 rounds, if the score is tied, then you have a sudden death round, winner take all. Now, can you imagine how exciting that would be? Where you had a Barrera-Morales fight, or you had a Pacquiao-Morales fight, Gaddy-Ward. I mean, you name all these great trilogies. If those ended in a draw, can you imagine what that 13th round would be if they had to fight winner take all? Boxing has got to do something like that. I think that really puts a damper on a lot of these fights when you promote them for 4 months. I've got to wait for 4 to 5 months to watch this fight, and then it ends up in a draw. And then I got to wait to watch the rematch another 4 or 5 months later. By then, a year's gone by almost, and I've only got to see a guy win or lose one time. Now, on top of that, you got other fighters that are trying to get their championship, their chance in the spotlight, their chance at a championship. If we have a win or lose, we don't have to wait for a draw and then another rematch. Another guy's already got his opportunity to take on the world champion, because there's always a winner and there's always a loser. So more guys are going to have the opportunity to fight for a world championship. We're not going to have so much lag in between fights, between the rematches and whatever else is going on at that time. We have got to get the draw out of boxing. Winner take all, sudden death, 13th round. That's my proposal. Send your emails, whatever. But send those out to the athletic commissions, promoters, anyone that you know. We got to get the word out. Boxing has got to get rid of the draw. There's nothing worse than a huge championship fight ending in a draw. Got to get rid of it. But that's my dishonorable discharge. And I hope that you email me, send me your comments, suggestions for the show, maybe things you want to see, things you want me to talk about. I'd love to hear from you. Like I said, I appreciate all the comments I got from the last show, and I hope to hear from you again. So until next time, you are dismissed.